Hi, I'm Mabel. I never thought I'd be sitting here telling this story, but life has a way of throwing curveballs when you least expect them. My life with Daniel and our two beautiful kids, Emma and Jason, wasn't perfect, but it was ours. We had our routines, our inside jokes, our Friday movie nights with homemade popcorn. Daniel's mother, Eleanor, lived just 20 minutes away, close enough to visit, but far enough to maintain boundaries. Or so I thought. Mabel, you sound exhausted. How about I take the kids this weekend? Eleanor would often say, her voice dripping with concern that I once mistook for genuine care. That would be amazing. I could use a break, I'd reply, grateful for what seemed like kindness. It was my friend Casey who first noticed something wasn't right. We were having coffee at her kitchen table while her toddler napped. So, Emma told me something weird yesterday when I picked her up for our play date, Casey said, stirring her coffee slowly. I looked up from my phone. What did she say? She asked if I was mad at you for leaving the kids alone that time. I told her I didn't know what she was talking about. Casey's eyes narrowed. Mabel, what's going on? Leaving them alone? I've never... I stopped, feeling my stomach drop. What exactly did she say? Casey leaned forward. She said Grandma told her that you left them at the mall once because you were too busy shopping, and that Grandma had to come rescue them. That's ridiculous! I've never left my kids anywhere. My voice rose enough that Casey glanced nervously toward her sleeping child's room. I know that, she whispered. But why would Eleanor tell Emma that? I have no idea. I gripped my mug tightly. What else has she been telling them? You need to talk to Daniel about this, Casey insisted. He's been distant lately. Working late, barely talking to me. I sighed. Last week he asked if I thought my episodes were getting worse. I don't have episodes, Casey. Episodes? What's that supposed to mean? I don't know, but now I'm wondering if Eleanor's been talking to him too. Casey's face hardened. Call Zoe, right now. My sister? Why? Because when Eleanor had the kids last month while you and Daniel were at that conference, Zoe picked them up one day, right? Maybe she noticed something. I called Zoe immediately. The conversation changed everything. Mabel, I wasn't going to say anything because I thought I misheard, Zoe said, her voice uncertain. But when I picked up the kids, Eleanor was on the phone with someone. She said, Daniel needs to see that Mabel's not fit to be their mother. I've documented everything. My blood ran cold. What else? She had this notebook. When she saw me, she shoved it in a drawer. The kids seemed upset, especially Jason. He asked me if you were coming back or if you were gone for good like Grandma said. My hands shook as I ended the call. Casey, I whispered. I think Eleanor's trying to convince everyone, including my own children, that I abandoned them. This is insane, Daniel said that evening, pacing our bedroom. My mother wouldn't do that. Then why did Emma ask Casey about me leaving them at the mall? I've never done that, Daniel. Never. Kids misunderstand things all the time, he said, rubbing his temples. Maybe my mom was telling them about someone else. Someone else named Mabel who happens to be their mother? I crossed my arms. And what about these episodes you mentioned last week? Where did that come from? Daniel looked uncomfortable. Mom mentioned that you seemed unstable sometimes. Said you'd forgotten to pick up the kids twice from her house. That never happened. I'm always on time, and when I'm not, I call. I took a deep breath. Daniel, your mother is lying to you. Why would she do that? His voice had an edge I rarely heard. I don't know, but I'm going to find out, and I need to know if you're with me or against me on this. Daniel sat heavily on the bed. I don't know what to believe anymore. The next morning, I drove to my friend Marcus's house. As a family lawyer, he might have insights I needed. This sounds like parental alienation, Marcus said, making notes. It's a form of psychological manipulation. If Eleanor is systematically lying to your children and husband about you abandoning or neglecting the kids, she's creating a false narrative. But why? Control, usually. Some grandparents believe they should be raising the children instead of the parents. Has she ever expressed disapproval of your parenting? I laughed bitterly. Only every chance she gets. We need evidence. Marcus tapped his pen. Without it, it's your word against hers. Zoe mentioned a notebook. Eleanor was documenting things. That notebook could help us, but it could also help her if she's creating a false record of your supposed neglect. I need to get that notebook. Carefully, Mabel. If you're right about this, Eleanor is calculating. You can't just confront her. I decided to speak with Jason's teacher, Miss Rivera, who had called recently about changes in his behavior. He's become withdrawn, Miss Rivera explained in her classroom after school. Last week during family drawing time, he didn't include you. What? Why? When I asked, he said, Grandma says Mommy doesn't want to be with us anymore. Miss Rivera frowned. I found it concerning enough to call you. Has my mother-in-law been picking him up frequently? Yes, at least twice a week lately. She always has plenty to say about you being too busy for pickup. She hesitated. I shouldn't say this, but something felt off. Jason looked so confused when she talked about you. Would you be willing to document what you've observed? I may need it. Of course. Jason's welfare comes first. Later, I met with Casey and Zoe at a cafe away from our usual spots. I need to get into Eleanor's house and find that notebook, I explained. That's breaking and entering, Zoe warned. Not if we're invited, Casey smiled slyly. I heard Eleanor bragging at church about her garden club. They meet every Wednesday for 3 hours. Tomorrow, in fact. Still need to get inside, I pointed out. Leave that to me, Zoe said. Daniel mentioned the washing machine's been acting up. I'll tell Eleanor I'm dropping off their laundry since you're too overwhelmed to do it. She'll give me the spare key. And if the notebook's not there? Casey asked. Then we go to plan B, I said. My phone will be recording every conversation with her from now on. The notebook was worse than I imagined. Page after page of fabricated incidents. Dates I supposedly left the children alone, times I forgot to feed them, mentions of erratic behavior and concerning statements I'd never made. Some entries even suggested I had a drinking problem or was having an affair. Eleanor had created an entire alternate reality where I was an unfit mother. I photographed every page before returning the notebook to its hiding place. When I showed Daniel the evidence, his face went ashen. I can't believe she'd do this, he whispered, scrolling through the photos. Mabel, I'm so sorry I doubted you. You need to be on my side now, Daniel. Completely. I am. What do you want to do? Confront her. Today. With witnesses. We arranged to meet Eleanor at our home that evening. Marcus agreed to be present as my legal counsel, and Casey came as additional support. When Eleanor arrived, her smile vanished at the sight of Marcus. What's this about? She asked, eyeing everyone suspiciously. I placed printed copies of the notebook pages on the coffee table. It's about this, Eleanor. Her face paled, then quickly recovered. I don't know what you're talking about. Don't lie to me! I slammed my hand on the table. You've been telling my children I abandoned them. You've been lying to my husband about me having episodes. You've created this entire fiction about me being an unfit mother. You're being hysterical, Eleanor said coolly. This only proves my point. Mom, Daniel's voice was low and dangerous. Stop, we have proof. Miss Rivera has documented how you've been manipulating Jason. Zoe overheard your phone conversation, and now we have your notebook. I was only documenting what I observed, Eleanor insisted. Someone needed to protect those children. From what? I demanded. From having a mother who loves them? From having a stable home? You were never good enough for Daniel. You trapped him with those children, and I've watched you slowly destroy their lives. Her composure cracked. Someone had to do something. By lying? By trying to turn my own children against me? I did what was necessary. Marcus leaned forward. Mrs. Grant, as a family attorney, I should inform you that what you've done constitutes parental alienation and defamation. It's actionable in court. Eleanor's eyes narrowed. You wouldn't dare take me to court. I'm their grandmother. Watch me, I said evenly. Daniel, you can't let her do this. Eleanor pleaded. I'm your mother, and they're my wife and children, Daniel replied. What you did is unforgivable. I was protecting this family. No, I said. You were trying to destroy it. Eleanor stood suddenly. You'll regret this, all of you. She pointed a shaking finger at me. Especially you. I'll make sure everyone knows what kind of mother you really are. Are you threatening me? I asked calmly, my phone recording every word. It's not a threat if it's the truth, she hissed. And when I'm done, you'll never see those children again. Daniel stepped between us. That's enough. Get out, Mom. Now. This isn't over. Eleanor grabbed her purse, knocking over a lamp in her fury. As she reached for the door, she turned back. I'm sorry it came to this, Daniel. I truly am. I was only trying to help. We don't want your help, I replied coldly, and we don't want you in our lives anymore. You'll be begging for my forgiveness when she falls apart. With that final shot, she slammed the door behind her. Well, said Marcus, gathering the evidence, that threat gives us everything we need. The restraining order was just the beginning. With Eleanor's threats recorded and her notebook as evidence, the judge had no hesitation in granting it. The civil case for defamation and parental alienation followed, along with mandatory family therapy for the children to undo the damage Eleanor had caused. 6 months later, we sat in the courthouse waiting for the final hearing. Daniel squeezed my hand as Officer Jenkins approached us. Mrs. Carter, I wanted to update you. We've received reports that your mother-in-law has been speaking to other parents at your children's school, continuing to spread falsehoods about you. Even with the restraining order? Daniel asked, incredulous. Unfortunately, yes. But this violation makes our case stronger, Officer Jenkins explained. The DA is considering adding harassment charges. Our attorney, Marcus, joined us. Just spoke with the judge's clerk. Eleanor's attorney is trying to arrange a settlement meeting. What does that mean? I asked. It means she's scared. Marcus smiled. She wants to apologize and make this go away. Daniel and I exchanged glances. No deals, I said firmly. She needs to face the consequences. That's what I told them. The courtroom doors opened and we filed inside. Eleanor sat at the defendant's table looking smaller than I remembered. When she saw us, she stood. Daniel, please, she began, stepping toward us. Can we talk about this? I've realized I made mistakes. Stay back, Officer Jenkins warned her. Mabel. Eleanor turned to me, her eyes pleading. I was wrong. I see that now. I was just so afraid of losing my connection to the children. Can we start over? For the sake of Emma and Jason? I looked at her for a long moment. No, Eleanor, we can't. But I'm their grandmother. They need me. They need safety and truth, I replied. You've proven you can provide neither. I've changed. I've been going to therapy. I understand what I did wrong. It's too late, Daniel said. Some things can't be undone. The judge entered and we took our seats. Throughout the proceedings, I felt Eleanor's eyes on me, but I didn't look back. When the judgment came down, a permanent restraining order, significant financial damages, and court-mandated psychiatric evaluation for Eleanor, I felt no joy, only relief. Outside the courthouse, Casey and Zoe waited with Emma and Jason. Is it over, Mom? Emma asked, taking my hand. Yes, sweetheart. It's over. Will we ever see Grandma again? Jason looked up at me, his eyes uncertain. Daniel knelt beside him. Not for a very long time, buddy, and only if things change a lot. She said mean things about you, Mom, Emma said. But Miss Rivera told us sometimes grown-ups say things that aren't true when they're upset. I pulled both children into a hug. The important thing is that we have each other and we tell each other the truth, even when it's hard. Later that evening, as Daniel and I sat on our porch swing, I finally asked the question that had been haunting me. Do you think I'm being too harsh? Refusing to let her apologize? Daniel considered this carefully. Some betrayals go too deep, Mabel. She tried to take our children from you. From us. That's not something I can forgive. I keep thinking about what my mom used to say. Forgiveness is for you, Not for them. Maybe someday, Daniel conceded. But not today. Today, we protect our family. I leaned against his shoulder, watching the sunset. I never thought I'd have to fight so hard to keep what was already mine. You shouldn't have had to, he replied. But you did, and you won. As the stars began to appear, I thought about all the other women out there, fighting similar battles against people who should love them. I wondered how many of them felt as alone as I had. What do you think happens now? I asked. We heal. We move forward. We make sure our kids know they're loved and safe. Daniel squeezed my hand. One day at a time. Have you ever had to stand your ground against someone who was supposed to protect you? What would you have done in my place? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more real-life drama stories.